Pop Punk and Pizza podcast is presented by Pop Punk Takeout, which is a monthly subscription service that delivers merchandise from pop punk artists from all over the world directly to your door in a takeout box. You can go to poppunktakeout.com and also follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Pop Punk Takeout. All right, hello and welcome to Pop Punk and Pizza Podcast. I'm, of course, Jacques Lamour, your host. It is so great to have you here. This is our second interview that's in person today, and I'm super, super stoked about it, and I'm hoping that things go a little smoother than they were last week. We had some crazy technical difficulties, so fingers crossed things go well for this one. I am super happy to welcome both Jimmy and Joe from Chicago's very own Capgun heroes. And there goes the applause. So sorry. See, there's already difficulties, but welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
We're really not used to applause anyway. It's usually like, is your set over? So.
It's like, yeah, right, exactly. You're playing, Reggie's or whatever. And like, are you done? We want to see, Suicide Machines or whoever it is that you're, opening for. Probably, I know you guys have played some bigger shows. I know it wasn't Suicide Machines, but it was somebody.
Last time we played Reggie's, it was
Nerve
us, Dan Vapid and Cheats, Nerf Herder, and the Copyrights.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of, I believe. How long ago was that? Was that before COVID?
Yeah, it was before COVID. It was December of 2019.
Oh, wow.
It followed right after T1 Fest, which was another great show.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was in Joliet at the Forge, right?
Yeah, we did it at the Forge, and it was great. We had a lot of, it was a great lineup. Smoking Popes, 88. Oh, yeah. The Lillingtons, Callie Massey, you name it, so many great bands, and just it feels good to be able to start getting back out there and doing things. We got another show at Reggie's lined up for December, some shows in January, and then kind of trying to plan out the rest of the year now.
Yeah, to promote the new record,
Yeah.
Last Call For Adderall, which is why you guys are here. I love the artwork. and the name alone, it's like Last Call For Adderall. I feel like it really it encompasses where our current society is at, or the culture. It's really not about last call for drinks anymore. I feel like so many people are popping pills that it's just so fit, and Adderall being a big one, and not obviously the one that's prescribed to you,
Yeah, well, that was kind of our, obviously we're big Ramones fans, and that was kind of our take on their whole, Carbon and Not Glue, and we were just trying to think of a kind of a catchy name, but we did think about that of, it seems like people are using that to kind of get by in these stressful times, and so we did. We thought it was pretty good name and funny, and not to make fun of anybody who needs that to get by, but because we do understand that. But yeah, it was kind of our little take on what the Ramones did back in the day, and the artwork. Our guy Atch, who's done all of our art, he's phenomenal. He's done everybody. He just did the latest Naked Ray Gun art as well.
Oh, nice.
He just does, and we always say it's like, man, your art is just so much better than the band that you're doing it for. Every time he does something for us,
we're not deserving. Not yet.
It's like, don't mind us. Our artwork is better than our actual music, but I don't think that's true. It definitely fits more with your, some might call it old school punk or retro punk. Obviously, that was what I loved when I first listened to Judy and I know we played that on the podcast before, so, Pop Punk and Pizza listeners might be familiar with that song. I can't remember which month I played that song, but it was sometime last year, I think, during the whole start of the pandemic, But you can obviously tell you're heavily influenced by the Ramones, and there's really not a lot of bands that have that kind of sound right now. So I feel like it almost makes it actually unique in a way, and instead of thinking, oh, they're just copying a sound, but it's like I don't look at it that way, or I don't listen to it that
Yeah,
way.
we tried to put our own spin on like the earlier years in the punk music.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it seems like it's been really well received. You know, getting a lot of like nice little comments about it. You know, great album. So very happy with the final product. And
Yeah, I mean, I think the great thing for us is, we really, at our age and, this kind of situation in life, I mean, we're doing this more for us than anyone else. I mean, we do because we love punk music. We grew up in Chicago in the 90s, and it was a great scene, and there were so many great bands. And the Chicago scene was kind of really diverse in that you'd have your Screeching Weasels, your Riverdales, and then you'd have great bands like the Broadways, who then became the Lawrence Arms. But it was not everything sounded the same, but I always feel like it had that 90s Chicago style punk. And, that kind of tied into, I think every scene having their own sound, like the Fat Wreck had their sound, Epitaph had their sound, Lookout had their sound. Chicago was kind of a mix of all of it, which we thought was really cool. And that's what we wanted to play. So we weren't trying to kind of play any kind of new modern. We were like, you know what, we love this 90s style punk rock, which is kind of mixed between pop and a little bit more of the kind of skate edgier, and that's what we tried to put together for the record.
If you think about it, it's like the original pop punk almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I mean, obviously there's a few. I can't think of there is a really really fast song on the new record. I can't think of the name. Lobotomy. So that song is more on the punk end, but like I feel like it's more of the original pop punk, even though a lot of people don't look at it that way or listen to it that way. But when you go through all the different phases of punk rock or pop punk, like that was one of them. That was one of the things of pop punk, even though you might listen to it now and you're like, oh, that's punk rock. It's like, well, yeah, it's a form of punk rock.
Yeah, there's many different subgenres.
Yeah.
And I mean, the way we always
or melodic punk, maybe you would label it as.
Yeah, like I said, we based it always back in the day, like on the labels, right? Like the Lookout bands had that certain sound, right?
Yes.
You knew, and I kind of miss mail order. I mean, it's great now that we have, access to everything, through the streaming site, so it's so easy to find so many great new bands. But back then, I remember, you'd get a catalog, you'd be looking at something, you'd buy a CD would come, and you'd say, oh, I wonder who this band is or who that band is, and you just discovered so many bands that you didn't know because you took a chance on buying a CD or an EP, and you found so many great bands. But you saw those different sounds coming out of, Lookout had a lot of the bands from Chicago on there, so you felt like, oh well, if Sludgeworth and Weasel and the Riverdales are on there, then I should listen to bands like Winona Riders or just a number of other bands. I mean, obviously you had Squirt Gun, the Queers.
The plus then too, when you order stuff, they sent you a comp with like 30 different bands that you might not have heard of. Some you heard of, some you didn't hear of.
So you'd order like a Screeching Weasel record, and they would send...
I think it was if you if you order a couple, like you spend a certain amount of money, and they'll send you you get a comp. At least I did. And it opened me up to a few different bands that I've never heard of before. So stores like that don't do it anymore.
Well, I think
Well, you don't need it because I stream everything.
But. True, but there might be some record. There's so many small record labels these days that I wouldn't be surprised if some of them do that. Send a comp in the mail if someone buys buys so many records. They might send them a sampler of some kind.
It's a good idea. I mean, they used to do it, but
now you have playlists though, and
that's what I said. You got the streaming, so you don't really.
Well, but I think you have those. There's the people out there. I mean, you have smaller record labels that are, and I think it's really cool that a lot of bands are supporting that by saying, yeah, we'll give you a song, we'll do this, and a lot of it is free. You can see a lot of them get released on Bandcamp, and it definitely for smaller bands, more unknown. When some of those bigger bands jump on that and do that, it really helps these other bands, and I think that's great when they do that. Comps have gone the way of it's now it's playlist, or you're still having comps that are done on like a Bandcamp or even a Spotify, and that's really where you're discovering new music. But what I like is, really one of the only things I like about streaming, because I feel like I wish the bands could monetize their work more, so they would keep doing it. But what I do like about that is, unlike for Spotify, for example, with the fans also like areas where you can see it. You're listening to a band that you already know who they are, but now they're putting on these other bands, and you just give them a listen, and now you've just discovered a whole new band that you might have never heard of before.
There's been so many that I've discovered that I've either had an interview on Pop Punk and Pizza, or I've just played their music from having that, literally discovering them through Spotify. I might have Spotify on shuffle and say, play artists like Goldfinger or something like that. Then all of a sudden, there's this other artist, song comes on, I've never heard of them. And I'm like, who the hell is this? And I look at it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I was like, they sound badass. I'm going to check these guys out. And it's, it's the good with the bad, right? But as we were talking about the comps and getting those in the mail and things like that, I will say, Humans were here, a small record label in Chicago. It's run by Tom Higginson of Plain White Tees.
Mm-hmm.
I recently did a vinyl giveaway with them on the podcast, and so they sent me a set of vinyl for myself, and then a set that I could give away. They actually did have a CD comp in the package for the one I was giving away, and it was a sampler of all the different artists they have on the label. So there is some of that still happening, so to speak.
Need it.
Yeah, they absolutely need it. I agree. One thing that gets brought up a lot and it's not just your new record, Last Call for Adderall, but if you go back through your whole catalog, and you just kind of mentioned this now about growing up in the Chicago scene in the 90s, you mentioned Fireside. And anytime someone mentions Fireside or lived the Fireside days, I have to listen. I always want to know more of their stories, because I'm younger than those days. So it always fascinates me to hear about them. So I'm assuming you guys grew up going to shows there, or you witnessed shows there, or maybe you even played some shows there. I don't know. But I would love to hear your take on Fireside Bowl in Chicago.
I personally missed the Fireside. I don't know. Can't speak for you, but it was, it was dirty, and you liked it. And I can't really explain, like, just everything about it was, man, you just felt at home there watching the show. I mean, it's intimate, so like everything was in your face. I don't know. I can't really explain it. But for me, I just loved it. It was one of the best small little popular venues to play. You wanted to play there, and you loved seeing the Queers, Lillingtons, fucking Weasel. You see all these guys right in your damn face. I mean, it was just awesome for me. I loved it.
So
dollar beers.
And dollar beers, yeah, back. And there obviously, once in a while, there's still some bars that do that. But Joe, did you ever end up playing a show there? And obviously not in Capgun Heroes, but in another band.
We did. We called ourselves the Ghostbusters.
Seriously?
that was our little hidden name. We're the Ghostbusters.
Me and Joe and Matt were all in a band together back in the day.
Okay.
So we've all played Fireside, and we're always going to shows there. And I think the thing about that is, and maybe it's just our age and our timing and the change of things. We were there, I think, probably kind of in that, I think really the height of it, and then obviously also at the end of it, where it really wasn't just with a venue like that going away. I think the biggest thing for it was you don't really have all ages venues anymore, and the bands don't want to come in to play an all ages venue. And if they were, I shouldn't say they don't want to, but the venues who are booking them don't want all ages shows, because they're looking at this. Hey, we need people here to be able to drink and spend money, and that's the age, I think, for a lot of the people listening to music. But at the same time, it was like the great thing about that was here was a club that was being run, and it was putting on shows pretty much every day of the week. Sure, the weekends and Thursday nights were reserved for kind of the bigger bands. But if you called and you were persistent, or you at least worked on sending in a good demo, those guys would give you an opportunity, and they would put you on. And you might be playing at 5 o'clock, and the good bands are playing at 9, and they're not even in the building when you're playing. But it gave everybody an opportunity, and they were booking everyone. It was all ages show, and it gave people a place to go. And I think so many people discovered so many great bands. And I mean, if you look at all the bands that were coming out at that time, I mean, you have Apocalypse Hoboken, you have Oblivion. I mean, Chicago's kind of has just so many great bands. But I mean, you look at Lawrence Arms now. Well, I remember seeing the Broadways there.
Yeah.
So it was just this. I mean, Rise Against had their first their record release party at the Fireside. I mean, so a place like that is very special for what it brought in, because and all those bands would do that because that place was where they were able to create their followings and build their music. And it really is kind of sad that it's gone, but at the same time, we're very lucky if you're in this area to have so many great clubs to be able to see great music, regardless of the genre. Chicago really supports music in general and has so many venues. I mean, and for punk, it has a very thriving, unique punk scene. So you can go to 5 or 6 different really good sized bars and be able to see a lot of really good bands. So we're kind of fortunate. I feel sorry for the people that live in maybe towns or cities where the bands don't go there as much because it's just not that big of a market. Here we're never short on seeing your favorite bands every 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah, I know one of those states that I've heard in the past from, I don't know if it was from artists or promoters or agents or something, but a lot of them try to skip Wisconsin. I mean, there's obviously Milwaukee and there's Summerfest and things like that, but I feel like a lot of times they skip it, or at least probably when it comes to punk rock. I imagine for country it's completely different,
Yeah.
Not to be stereotypical, but
Well, there's a lot of great bands that come out from that way too. I mean,
yeah.
You have I want to say direct hits from the Milwaukee area. Obviously,
Yes, they are. Also, Masked Intruder is from Wisconsin. Madison, yes.
Madison. Obviously, Boris the Sprinkler, which is one of the greatest bands. They were just here this past weekend.
Okay.
They're from out that way, so they're in kind of great. I think you have your. I think Milwaukee has a pretty good scene. I know a lot of people go do shows there, and you have a cool venue in X-Ray Arcade out there where a lot of bands are doing shows. But yeah, I think it's Madison, big college town, so probably going for whatever's super popular at the moment.
And this was some years back, so and I'm sure things have changed since then a little bit, But yeah, there's obviously Milwaukee, and someone could say the same thing about Illinois. Like there's Chicago, and there's nothing else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it kind of goes both ways with that. But what's a memorable show that you still think of to this day when you think of Fireside Bowl that you had witnessed, or just different things that you had witnessed at Fireside?
For me, it's easy. It was one of the first Lillington show when they were on tour for Death by Television.
I was just thinking kind of the same thing, like catching them at their height when they just released that album.
It was a great show. I mean, Jughead and Weasel had started Panic Button at that time, and they were actually, Jughead was playing with them on that show on rhythm guitar. Weasel got up there. It was the first time in a few years that I think he was actually performing in front of anybody. And he did one of their songs. I want to say was "Don't Trust the Humanoids," and then did a couple of Ramones songs. So it was this, and the place was just packed. The energy, and I mean, the Lillingtons for me are one of my favorite bands, and just seeing them really break, being able to remember being at that show, everything the way it kind of went down, and you kind of realize, man, I'm witnessing, really what was this band that was out supporting probably what is, in my eyes, one of the top 5 pop punk albums of all time.
So let's go ahead and take a break. We'll go ahead and play. I've got that girl queued up to play. I've got the video too, so I don't know if you guys want to give us the video is really cool because it's actually at Siren Records, which is that McHenry?
McHenry.
And
Great place.
what's the significance behind the video at Siren Records? Was it just you guys grew up going there and getting records, or?
Yeah, we're friendly with Bill and Jenny. They're great people. They've been super supportive of us, super supportive of T1 Fest, and I just can't say enough good things about them. They're just great people, and they have a really, really cool store. I mean, they have a whole kind of like Lillington shrine in there.
There was shots of that in the video. That
well, we said,
yeah.
Let's show, so people as they get halfway through, it's like if they see, a good band, maybe they won't shut the video off halfway through. But they're just really good people. They have a really cool store, and we just wanted to support them as they've always supported us. And it kind of actually came because when we were writing the song, we kind of just naturally gave them a shout out in the song, as because we're always liking to poke fun at ourselves, so it kind of fit. And then we were like, well, you know what, we should do the video there. It can kind of be a cool concept to kind of follow along with the song, and it worked out great.
Awesome. Well, let's give it a listen and give it a watch as well. Oh man. Uh-oh. I don't know why that keeps happening. For some reason, my the camera for Capgun Heroes keeps disappearing. I don't know why.
It's not a wide enough lens.
There we go. No, it completely it completely blacks out, but I think maybe it'll stay now. I just got to get it clipped back on my stand here. But if that's the worst thing that happens all night, then I'm not worried about it. So, That Girl, of course, by Capgun Heroes. We have Joe and Jimmy right in front of us here on Pop Punk and Pizza Podcast. I failed to mention the beginning of the episode. We're eating Mancino's Pizza, which is I don't know. I know it's a chain, but I don't know if it's just a chain here in the Kankakee area that I live in. But it's nearby. and the pizza place that I usually order from is closed down just for the day because they don't have enough work or workers, just like a lot of the world right now. I was thinking about this today on my way home from work. I was like, if I could clone myself and work all these jobs that are available right now,
That'd be great, right?
I'd be rolling in the dough. Like there's, and I mean,
that multiplicity.
yeah, just like that. And not to get political or anything like that, but it was just something I was thinking about. It was like, man, it was like, it would be it's like a great opportunity for someone that wants to completely change jobs or careers right now because they could easily do it. They could walk into a place because they're so desperate.
Yeah, well, certain places they're handing you a job application with your like if you order food, there's a job application stapled to your food.
Yes.
Never gotten that. It must be you.
I must look like I need a job.
It must look like you need work.
It's the
gray.
The gray.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I see a reflection. I look like Papa Munster.
Yeah, they're like, this guy must be looking to supplement his retirement.
Right.
With a job application.
What do you guys do for your day jobs, by the way?
So I'm in the payments industry. So
Payments?
Yeah.
So like.
So I work for a company that is a network that basically authorizes and clears all kinds of electronic payment transactions. So everything from credit and debit card transactions to e-check to online banking, you name it.
Okay, and so is it just, does your company like provide those services to?
Yeah, they'll provide the services, and they're basically that authorization network that allows those terminals that you see when you swipe your credit card.
Yeah.
It talks to our network, and we authorize a capture and then settle the funds on behalf of the customers.
Okay, so are you also the person that'll look at something and be like, we're not going to approve this, or how does that? Or is that all? I'm sure that's all automated at this point.
I'm the one who kind of helps bring the new accounts on board, so more of the business development.
Oh, okay.
Joe actually is the guy that will say.
I'll tell you yes or no.
Oh, okay.
Which is why he's got all the gray hair.
That explains it.
I'm the guy who's not liked.
Yeah, because
if I say no, I'm the bad guy. But it's too bad.
So, in what cases do you have to say no? And you don't have to be obviously specific to guard people's privacy. Obviously.
Yeah, no, you see like people just commit fraud in the past, and they're going to try and commit fraud again, stuff like that.
Well, not everybody's committing fraud.
I didn't say everybody. He said a certain situation. I'm giving a certain situation. Shut up and let me talk for a second. Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
See, you asked me a question. I try to answer you. You said give you
give me an example.
And all of a sudden everybody.
No, you just kind of everybody's a fraudster.
Yes, everybody's a fraudster.
This is the fight from 9 to 5 is where I'm like, why can't my accounts get approved?
Yeah, it's even better that you guys can't get away from each other because you're also in a band together. So it's like.
What are we, 43 years old? We've been friends since we were like 5 years old. We grew up on the same block. So there's a lot of history.
Yeah. Did you start writing songs together for the first time then, or did you end up doing that
when we were 5?
Oh, well, no, like when you were 5. I mean,
yes,
you could have
written
written
my very first song.
But no, eventually, did you both discover punk rock together?
I think you did first because I was weird, man. I liked that Bone Thugs and Harmony and shit.
Yeah.
You caught me at, I was like 300 pounds. I would just tie my fucking bandana on backwards and listen to Tupac.
Did you have did you have a little boombox?
Yeah, no, I never got that far. Didn't go that far.
That's a shame.
Looking back, I saw
Jimmy saved you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I did.
If there was pictures,
he'd be driving on a block playing "Mo Murder" by Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Windows down, bouncing my head. That's right. I'm like, what's this fucking fat kid doing? I used to drive a purple Cavalier with yellow. I don't know why. why underneath the paint it was yellow. So I don't know if it was pre-painted.
It must have been
repainted.
a primer of some
I have
kind.
no idea,
maybe.
but I looked so stupid driving a purple car with yellow spots. Oh man, it was
So
That had to have been a special coating or
I
primer
don't
of
know
some
what it was,
kind.
but I
I would
was
think.
so stupid to get that car.
well, they don't make it now. Hey, you were the first one to have your own car.
I did.
So.
I actually could say at 17, I bought my own car with my own money.
Dude, that's saying something.
Or no, 18. 17?
Well,
It's right after
it's
the summer I graduated. I don't remember when I graduated.
I mean, it could have been. You could have graduated when you were 17 or 18.
Yeah, I think
I was
17.
18 when I graduated, but I was like older in my class. So I was actually almost 19. I was about to turn 19 when I graduated. So it just depends, like, where your birthday lands and if your parents held you back a year or anything like that.
I think my parents threw me in school because they didn't like me.
Were you was it because of the Tupac and the?
I don't know.
At age 5, once again,
Thought of me like a little asshole. I don't know.
Times changed, but I still remember like your car. It reminds me like that thing with Ferris Bueller. He's like my car's a piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
It's like, well, I don't have my own piece of shit, so I got to envy yours.
Yeah. Yes.
That's how I felt back
That's
then.
right. That was a famous line.
We did try to recreate the liftoff.
I remember that.
There was a street that if you went fast enough,
Yeah.
you get a little air.
Uh
Well, you shouldn't do it with a piece of shit car because
huh.
as you hit, the bottom falls out.
Oh no.
So yeah,
Oh man.
that wasn't fun.
That
wasn't my car.
We're getting some comments here. Brody Larson says hello. Do you know who Brody Larson is? Says hello, Scott. But there is no Scott here.
Scott's not here. That would be the.
Is that one of your members?
It's the drummer's son.
Yeah, so where to go
I think he's being a smart ass. Like, why is my dad not there?
to sleep? Your dad's only the drummer.
Says, say hi, Brody, if you see this. Oh, okay.
Hi, Brody.
Yeah, hi, Brody.
Hey, bro.
If he's still watching. Let's see. Says Joe, Bone Thugs. And you give me a hard time on my Slayer? That's coming from Scotty Lars. Is Scotty the drummer?
He is the drummer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're both.
I'm letting some secrets out. I don't speak
okay.
about that time of my life.
He also said earlier, Scotty did. He said Lobotomy, best song on the record when we were talking about the
That's because he
Lobotomy
gets to
song.
use his double kick drum like a maniac. That's all it is. That's all it is.
God, I love this. I love it when I don't have the whole band on the podcast and they're watching the live.
And they get to talk shit 'cause they're not here.
Yeah, the other members are watching the live stream and they're just talking smack or like defending themselves.
Yeah.
If one of the band members that's actually on the podcast says something,
Just so you know, there's no use for a double kick drum in pop punk music, Scott. Just remember that.
You heard it here first. We're a credible leading source in the pop punk world. So, although there's so many people I know that would disagree because then they're like, well, what about Easy Core, with like 4 Years Strong? I mean, 4 Years Strong, they're definitely, you would have to be using double kick for stuff like that, I would imagine. So, what other bands are you guys inspired by? We obviously touched on the Ramones and a lot of the Chicago bands, but what are some bands that, like, you're just discovering now for the first time recently that you've been listening to?
There are a ton of great bands that are out now. I think that for me, it's not a recent discovery, but they've definitely released a few albums over the last couple of years, and I think they're probably one of the best bands out right now. And Jay is definitely one of the best songwriters. I mean, I put him up there with a Vapid or the Cody. Is Jagger Holly.
Yeah.
I mean, that band is just so good.
That's one I'm not familiar with.
You gotta
definitely
check them
out.
out.
Yeah.
They're
I would say
the Yum Yums.
Yum Yums, D-Cracks.
The Yum Yums I've heard the name, I feel like, but I don't know anything more than that on the Yum Yums.
You gotta check them out. See, I listen to a lot of music based off of vocals. I don't really care about the instrumental part of it.
Well, you're the lead vocalist
and I don't know how to
Capgun
play anything,
Heroes, so that makes the most sense. And I mean, the average music listener, I feel like that's they relate to the lyrics, right? I could be wrong. I know some people are all about instrumentals and how, a guitar, hits certain notes or whatever. But there are a lot of people that
I
connect to the lyrics.
I definitely like. I don't know. I mean, I care about the lyrics, but I love when they come up with a good melody. I love the good backups. I love powerful woes in the background. So like bands like that, I gravitate more there. So
I think another band too. I don't know if you've checked out yet. Is and I'm not giving them a shout out because they're on the same label as us or buds with us, but is the Zonoids. Yeah. If you like that Lillington's kind of misfit sound, I mean their last record
they combine that very well.
Just so awesome. I mean they're definitely one to check out. I mean, and then obviously there's for me it's like bands that inspired me that really I don't think get showcased in so much in all of the Capgun stuff, but I'm a huge Jawbreaker fan. Love Face to Face. I think they're one of the best bands you'll ever see live.
I agree. Yeah, they put on a good show.
So those are two very important bands for me. I mean, I have a weird top.
And I've got my Capgun. I've got my Capgun Heroes hoodie on that I think Jimmy sent it. I think Jimmy sent me this last year. So this is one of my favorite zip-ups.
It would be mine, but I grew out of it.
That COVID weight, man.
Man.
That COVID weight, it gets you. It really gets you, man.
It got me.
Yeah, it's gotten me a little bit too, to be honest. So you're not alone in that. And obviously having Pop Punk and Pizza doesn't help either. Especially now that the interviews are starting to be in person, it's like, oh man, am I ready to start eating pizza again all the time?
I've been ready.
I just like how he's trying to blame the pandemic for being fat. You were fat before the pandemic.
I was kind of fit before.
Don't blame COVID.
I was putting some work in.
COVID's getting a bad enough rap for everything it's got.
Okay, so Scotty says, hey, you try playing Lobotomy with a single kick pedal. And then we'll talk.
I got to try and learn how to play the drums first.
Yeah, and then we'll go from there.
I tried to play a guitar. I bought one. I bought this little box amp. I was like, I'm going to give this a try.
Was it electric?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
I think maybe 2-3 weeks in, I broke it over my knee and threw it in the galley.
Why?
I am so impatient. I thought I could pick it up and just start playing. That's not the case. And I have no patience.
Well, what was it that what was it in particular that pissed you off so much? Just
fucking fat fingers that don't move the way you want them to. And like everything was the same. Like I would just slide my fingers back and forth, and I didn't realize you gotta change shit up and play different. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do it, and I gave myself 3 weeks to learn, and it's never.
You mentioned you have a son though. Maybe he would have wanted to.
Well, my son's only 7.
Okay.
So
I know you wouldn't think that because he looks like such a crabby old man right now. His son's only 7.
I am not crabby. I'm not crabby at all.
Well,
I'm in the best spirits I've been in years.
If like people like Richard Gere can have babies in their late 70s, right? Then by all means.
I'm 43, and I just had I didn't. She's only 3, so I have 40.
But yeah, still. Yeah, so that's like nothing compared to Richard Gere and Mick Jagger and Billy Joel.
I'm gonna have a complex though when I'm bringing my daughter to school. And I'm like, oh, your grandfather did so well. Like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, because you're definitely no Richard Gere. Is he 70?
He's in his 70s. Wow. Yeah. The Billy Joel, Mick Jagger, and Richard Gere. I know those 3. And I know there's more, but those 3 for sure have all had kids in their 70s.
I want whatever Mick Jagger's on because the fucker had heart surgery. And then they show him in a studio doing his stage show. I'm out of breath just watching the first 30 seconds.
Right. Yeah, I mean you don't do any dancing around or anything. You can learn from Mick Jagger on that. But I mean he is an old ugly bastard for sure.
Oh, dude.
I mean he hasn't looked good since he was 30. I don't know if he even looked good at that time. But I'm kind of feeling really bad about myself now because Richard Gere's a handsome dude.
He is a handsome dude.
He's probably had a with a 29-year-old smoke show.
I know, and I don't think they had any kids together, but I know Dick Van Dyke is another person whose significant other, or I believe it's his wife, is much younger than him. Dick Van Dyke is in his early 90s, I think, and his wife is somewhere between 40s and 60s. Like she's a lot younger than Dick
I
Van
only
Dyke.
robbed it a
Well,
little
you
bit.
think
My,
about that.
my wife's only 6.5 or close to 7 years younger than me.
That's nothing compared to some of these
I mean,
other guys.
with Dick Van Dyke, the name like that, you got to be, being able to,
You-
you got to be able to do it well in your 90s. I mean, that just with that, you're lucky enough to have that name.
Right, that's absolutely true. I love how I brought up Dick Van Dyke on Pop Punk and Pizza because he's so punk rock as you know. I
He
mean,
is.
shim shim shiminy chim
Hey,
or chim 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 chimney.
He's downloading Capgun Heroes on Spotify right now.
He probably is. I bet like he seems like a pretty well aware older man, so I bet he actually knows what Spotify is.
Oh, I'm sure.
So he's-
I'm 43 and I got borderline dementia. I can't remember a shit. I'm not even joking. We go to practice and play a show. I'm studying, like I'm studying for a test. I got to reread the lyrics because I forget stuff.
Speaking of shows, I want to make sure I know you kind of mentioned Jimmy's shows earlier, but when's the closest one coming up that people in the Chicago area can go to? Especially since obviously we want to encourage everyone to check out the new record, Last Call for Adderall, which is out on Hey Pizza Records, which it's perfect. You're on
Yeah.
Pop Punk and Pizza, so
Nice tie-in.
yeah.
Yeah, next show we have in Chicago is going to be December 11th at Reggie's. We're playing with it's us, OK Cool, and the Queers. So
That'll be a kick-ass show.
we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just Capgun Heroes on social, right?
At Capgun Heroes on Facebook, and then
I know you're
Capgun Heroes.
I know you're on Instagram and Twitter as well. I don't know how active you are on Twitter, but I do know you do have a Twitter account.
I mean, we try to stay active. I mean, I think Twitter's like 11 people, so we have to start doing better on that. We're over like Facebook is it was good for us to all the kids are on the on Twitter, but between that and Instagram, I think and again we try to post that. We have a shout out to Bridget who handles all of our social media because we wouldn't be able to do it well.
Nice, nice. It's nice to have that support system, So, are you gonna have physical copies of Last Call for Adderall?
Yeah, they're up for sale now.
They are,
You
okay.
get them on Hey Pizza Record. Definitely get them soon because they are almost sold out on the first press. So we do have there's 3 different colors on the vinyl. There's a little bit of a party pack too where you can get all those colors, and then it's also available on CD. And I don't know if we'll end up doing the cassettes because that's a new thing now. I don't know if you saw those. I don't know who even has that to listen to.
I mean, I feel like people probably have to hit up garage sales and things like that, find the old cassette players because most cars don't even have them
They
anymore.
don't even have CD players in the cars anymore.
Well, yeah, exactly. So since the cars are getting older, people are buying new cars and they don't have CD players and they don't,
Yeah, I think they're just cool to put up on a shelf or, it's the nostalgia factor of them.
Absolutely, yeah. And they don't have. I mean, vinyl is nostalgic, but it's a little different with a cassette because people love listening to vinyl, but they don't necessarily be like, "Oh man, I love cassette.
Yeah.
It sounds so good. Oh my gosh, cassette! I just love it so much."
Especially when it gets caught
Yeah.
in the player and you got to get a pencil.
And you gotta wind that, man.
Oh yeah, I missed those.
Yeah, there's definitely nothing sound quality wise good about cassette.
Not too much. I mean, I'm not saying it's awful, but it's still cool that people are putting music back out on cassette.
Yeah, I mean, it
So.
definitely looks cool, and it's obviously very different. No one's done it since the late '80s, early '90s. So
Yeah, it's been
It's
Definitely
been
cool.
hell, huh?
well, yeah. I don't know when that trend started to
I
trickle
think
back
the CDs
in.
started really coming out in the late '80s, and then by early '90s, that was where everything was coming out on. Then some, the punk scene did vinyl.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It
Yeah.
was always 7 inches, and you could still get some LPs. I mean, 7 inches were obviously big, but now everything is back on vinyl, and that's the new thing now.
But I think the cassette resurgence was in like the last 10 years to where that started to kind of become a
Yeah.
thing again.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really notice until like the last year where it got real popular, where everybody was kind of doing it.
I remember I knew someone, and this was in the 2000s, was releasing music on 8 tracks. So I thought that was pretty unique and very unheard of. And you know, yeah, it was like the beginning to mid 2000s. They put stuff out on 8 track.
Well, there's some people are doing it now, and they're releasing, they're having bands, you know, they're putting out albums on 8 track, and I just don't. Again, you'd have to really try to go to like a pawn shop or like
that's even
really
more
nice like stereo place or record store. Like again, you could probably find it at Siren Records, who has a great selection of all that stuff.
Got to plug the Siren Records in there again. Yeah.
Plug it in again.
There you go. I want that check.
But no, they actually do have a great selection of audio equipment in the back. That pretty rare stuff as well. But I don't even think they have that. So I don't know who's.
It's more like
who's
a collector's type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's just something very collectible that you like to kind of have. And,
yeah. I need to make a trip up to Siren Records sometime because I've heard James Van Osdol talk about them. I think that's actually first where I heard of them was through James, and then I think from there is probably just other local people that talked about it. But McHenry's a good jaunt from here. So
yeah, I know I'm only down the road, so it's it's definitely a hike, but it's well worth it. I mean, and McHenry's a really cool town, and I mean, I would say while you're out there, not that I want to keep pushing, like advertising for people. But, Epic Deli's out there. I mean,
that's right. So they've got a couple locations, though, right?
I don't know.
Or is it just the one in McHenry?
I think it's the one in McHenry.
Oh, that's it, huh? I thought they had multiple ones.
That's the only one I know of.
Oh, that's the only one I know of, and their food is awesome.
Yeah.
And you can't finish it.
I mean,
that's also what I've
not
heard.
Not sitting, at least.
Yeah, so at least if you're going to make the trip, you could go to Siren, get some great records, and then
go to Epic Deli.
At Epic Deli, get some good food, and then probably fall asleep on the way back.
Yeah, right. I'll have to have someone else drive me home.
Drive you out there.
Awesome. Well, Joey and Jim, it's so great to have you on Pop Punk and Pizza. Anything else before we close out?
No, I think that's it. We appreciate you having us.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you coming down, and hope you enjoyed. Where does the Mancinos on the Richter scale? I don't think that really.
You're gonna do a thumb.
Like a middle of almost slightly
I
up.
would say a little slightly
up on the
See,
Mancinos.
We're spoiled in Chicago.
Oh,
You got some ridiculous pizza.
Yeah, I'm kind of a pizza snob, so.
Well, when you the more populated of an area you live in, the more options you have.
Yeah, there's just so much. So much.
There absolutely is. So, all right, you guys have a great rest of the night, and looking forward to hopefully catching a show sometime. Maybe that December one. So, yeah, that'll be good. All right. Well, thank you so much again to. Thank you so much again to Joe. Or do you go by Joey or Joe?
Joe.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It's like Joseph.
Joseph. Joe and Jimmy from Capgun Heroes. Please hit them up on all the socials at Capgun Heroes. Give them a follow and then listen to that brand new record. Also, our wonderful title sponsor, Pop Punk Takeout. They are currently, their October box is up for grabs. If you haven't signed up for a subscription yet, make sure you do so. There's actually some Chicago artists. There's at least one Chicago artist that I know of that's a part of the October box, and that's a Rematch. So you can either get the bigger version, which is the pizza takeout box, or the Chinese food takeout box, and they stuff it with all kinds of exclusive merchandise from pop punk artists from all over the world. And they deliver it right to your door once a month. So go to poppunktakeout.com, and then you can follow them on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Pop Punk Takeout. And while you're at it, make sure you follow Pop Punk and Pizza at Pop Punk Pizza Pod. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And our website, poppunkpizzapod.com. You can get this fancy new shirt we have celebrating 5 years as a podcast. We call it the Chinese, or it's actually Chinese Pizza Lucky Cat is what we call it. And so it's this cool looking kind of like Garfield cat and he's chowing down on some pizza because we've had a lucky 5 years. So if you go to our merch store at poppunkpizzapod.com and use the promo code poppunk at checkout, you get $2 off your order on that, or honestly any of the merchandise at our store. So please do that if you get a chance, and give us a positive rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It truly does go a long way, and kind of gives the podcast a little more visibility. So, and don't forget, you can always catch the show live if you wish as well, every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time on our Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube accounts. If not, you can listen to the episode on all podcast platforms the next day, every single Thursday. So have a great rest of the night, great rest of the day. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Truly appreciate all of your love and support, and talk with you next week. All right.
Who is Oreo FB?
I don't know, but they just said hello.
Oh.
That was it?
That was it.
Creepy hello?
Mm-hmm. Just a creepy hello.
That's funny. Oh, Cindy told me I did look like a creepy old man.